welcome in. This is 300 Yards to Unknown. I'm Rick Gaiman. That right there, that's Eric Patterson. You can find him at EPAT Golf. EPAT, buddy, happy Thursday.
Yeah, happy Waste Management Week. I will say I was watching the early part of the broadcast, and it's nice to see and hear some fans and some claps and some roars and some cheers. And yeah, it's brings back a little bit of the vibe that we've been missing for almost a year now.
Rory hit a drive, just an absolute bomb somewhere, and the fans were like, whoa, like off the club face. They were like, oh my God. And then when it landed, they were like, oh my God. Like it was deep.
There's almost like not enough fans so you can hear like single fan reactions. Yeah.
This is the time for the mashed potatoes guy to thrive.
Because you'd be the only one there. Yeah. No, hopefully we don't get any of those.
Hopefully people have forgotten that they're allowed to say that or anything else at a golf tournament, and we never hear that again would be my great idea.
Oh yeah. I don't think that'll ever happen. Wait till we get to the Florida swing with some, I think it was like invented at the Honda Classic or something. That was one of the more rowdier Florida events. So I'm sure those will come back when the fans keep coming back too.
Oh, good. We were just kind of chatting real quick, and we'll do a deep dive on this later. And I've just tweeted out a couple of things, but for the last 15 minutes, it's only been on for 15 minutes. The NBC Betcast is running right now, and that's the betting dedicated second stream to the Waste Management. And I was trying to get you up to date on it, and I think it's so far, so good. They're still setting everything up. They're still telling us how this is all going to work, but they have access to 6 feeds, EPAT, which was one of our big concerns, that they were just going to show the same exact thing that was going to be happening on NBC or happening on the Golf Channel, and just talk about odds around it. So far, not the case.
And you have both. You have like the Golf Channel broadcast going, and then Betcast going, so you can see that they're not necessarily showing the exact same guy at the same time. That's definitely a nice thing to know.
I'll take a picture of it for you. Yes, I'll send it over. So I've got both of them up next to one another.
A good step.
It's actually funny because they're both in a split screen right now. So they're actually like 4 wide on my screen because Golf Channel's doing the playing through, and the Betcast has been, I was telling you this, the Betcast has spent a lot of time in the split screen. Now it's bad because we're not seeing full screen golf, but this is normally a time that other broadcasts would just not show you any golf. Yeah. And they're setting it up. They're going through their picks. They're telling us what's going to happen, but they're doing it in a split screen. So we are at least still seeing golf.
All right. Well, it seems like they're off to a good start. I'd be interested to get your full review by the week's end, but it sounds like you pretty much get PGA Tour Live, featured holes, all that, but betting focused for the rest of the entire day.
Correct. And I was telling you, they have continued to boast the group of Louis, Varner, and Scheffler lowest back 9 score, which I've never seen the ability to bet 9 holes of a 3-ball in a single round before. So I don't know if PointsBet was actually offering that, or if that is just made up odds for this show and for the entertainment purposes of it, but I've never seen that.
I mean, they're going to have to get creative because you can't just keep dishing outright 72-hole, bets when you're broadcasting a little 3-hour window. So that's definitely a way to do it. And I'm sure they're touching on hole by hole and whatnot, probably live first round leader. But yeah, it's interesting. Are they doing they're giving good updated live odds, or are they just?
Yeah. So what they keep showing is they're showing I'm going to take a photo of this for you if I can. Or actually, I'll screen grab this.
You need a full
and I'll tweet it out.
Full recap from Rick.
Basically, what they're doing is the odds are. So they're showing the leaderboard as you would normally see it, like lowest score first, and then next to that they are showing the leaderboard, but by live outright odds. So Xander Schauffele is atop the leaderboard that they show next to it because his odds are currently 5.5 to 1.
That's good. Because before they were just putting the odds beside, and it wasn't really like organizing it in terms of like favorite to how typically a board looks. So yeah, that's all right. I'm pleasantly surprised by the early feedback that you're giving me.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. It's very early. It is
a lot of time to fill still.
But so far so good. Eric Patterson. I'm not sure if you are aware. There was a bit of little drama at the Farmers Insurance Open with Patrick Reed. And we were not going to talk about this because we're recording this on Thursday. And it's like, you know what? By the time we get there, it'll be old news. We've talked about it. We've tweeted about it. It's whatever. But the story kept evolving and it's kept changing. And I feel like now we have to talk about it. So I think we have to do that now.
I mean, it's definitely the talking point. Everyone was still talking about it in their press conferences yesterday. Rory coming out and saying my ball was stepped on by a volunteer, which he learned Monday after his ball was apparently stepped on Saturday, which is, the time between Rory getting his ball stepped on and then learning, I don't think it should be a day and a half or almost 2 days. So they've got to fix that. My biggest issue with the whole thing is volunteers have way too big of a factor in both outcomes.
Yes.
I think that needs to be addressed.
So volunteers stepping on balls happens all the time. Volunteers stepping on balls and not telling the player also kind of happens pretty frequently, whether they are embarrassed, whether they think they're impacting the game. I mean, it would be very logical for a volunteer to step on Rory's ball, be afraid that he or she's going to get in trouble, see that he's taking relief and think, it's not that big a deal. Nothing's going on here. I'm just not going to say anything.
Zach Blair said that, volunteers step on it and they're just embarrassed to say that they've said it, like they've done it, and they won't say anything. And then if you take your embedded relief, I'm sure this guy, if that's what happened, this guy probably just saw him take a drop and he's like, all right, I'm kind of in the clear. But then he realized that Rory was getting dragged into the mud with Patrick Reed and being grouped into like kind of a shady drop, kind of embedded ball, questioning that type of, whether or not they followed the right rules or did it by the book. And then he just came out and said, yeah, I stepped on it. So I want to clear Rory's name. And I mean, I wish that came out Saturday and not 2 days after the fact.
Yeah, because the tour's response to a guy Patrick Reed, who has been known for manipulating his lie, the tour's response to protecting him was drag Rory into the situation and say, look, he did the same exact thing. We've got two guys who cheated, or we got two guys who improved their lie when they shouldn't, which was a very interesting way to go about public relations if you're the PGA Tour.
How nuts is that the tour cares so much about Reed? I guess maybe they care about, I don't know. Why would they throw Rory in front of that bus as well without knowing the exact situation? And I don't know. It just seemed very weird that they would drag Rory into it. Even though Used Golf Facts and Patrick Reed actually might have brought Rory into the fold as well, firing off a few too many tweets about it.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the burner, because that's also the other story that, like, I can't believe has not gone. Like when I can't remember his name now. When the Sixers GM had a burner and was like tweeting stuff about Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, like and he ends up losing his job over it essentially. So like the fact that we know that burner is associated and now get confirmation of it is crazy. But back to like, there's a couple of things that have been bothering me over the course of the week. The idea that neither Rory nor Reed saw the ball bounce, or that a volunteer or anyone said that it didn't bounce. That to me, Eric, is a complete red herring. It does not matter whether they saw it bounce, didn't see it bounce, whether the volunteer said, I saw a squirrel grab it and take it underneath the ground, I saw a rocket ship land on it. Like, it doesn't matter what they say. That's all a red herring. If you walk up there, you have to decide if your ball is embedded or not. So that part of that, like, oh, well, he didn't see it bounce, so he just assumed it was embedded or whatever, is I hate that. Like, I hate that.
Yeah, that's one of the things that bothered me the most, is how Reed approached. He was walking up and almost like 10 yards away from the volunteer, pretty much yelling, did it bounce? Did it bounce? So he already has that in his mind, that he's potentially has a chance to get embedded ball relief, because if the volunteer didn't see it bounce, well, then there's no way to prove that it did or it didn't. So he's just going to assume that it didn't and plugged, and the volunteer said, no, I didn't see it bounce. If the volunteer said it plugged or it did not bounce, but not seeing just brings in gray area. You got to be certain on rulings like this. Like, if the NFL goes in under the booth, under the hood, and they don't have conclusive evidence, they're not going to overturn a call. They're not just going to, okay, it kind of looks like he had control and made the catch, but they're going to, side with the official call on the field. And in this scenario, I think that The PGA Tour has to, if there's not clear evidence that the ball plugged, then you have to assume that it didn't and just play it as it lies. I just don't. There's so many little gray areas that Reed just went full on taking advantage of that just adds up to one massive kind of skating by the rules.
If he would have asked the volunteer, did you see it not bounce? She would have said, no, I didn't see it not bounce. Right? Like it's just the way he asked it. And she said, no, I didn't see it bounce, which doesn't necessarily mean that she didn't see it not bounce.
She didn't answer the question, but he's taking that as no, it did not bounce. And then that's just not what happened. There's so many. And then he brings the rules official in and tells him to feel some dirt in the ground when you should be recreating the lie. I've never seen someone pick up the ball and move it to somewhere else and then have the lie that he's questioning now examined by an official that maybe Reed made up a spot. Maybe Reed I don't know. It was terrible. I think it was blatant cheating, but it's nuts how he got away with it.
The tour and even the rules official Ken Tackett on the CBS broadcast was really carrying a lot of weight for Patrick Reed, where I think that he, they say, oh, well, he, what was like bringing the rules official in was not to make it more official, right? Like the Ken Tackett kept saying, well, he brought the rules official in because he wanted to be sure. That makes less sense when you realize that his ball bounced and could not have been plugged. By Patrick Reed's own admission, it could not have been plugged. So then what did the rules official feel? Because he felt a lip. So if he felt a lip and we know that ball could not have plugged, what did he feel? It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't add up. But every step of the way, Reed was handing off, responsibility. He was like covering his own tracks with the volunteer. The volunteer didn't see it. Sure, I'm good. I'm clear. I told my playing partners I'm going to take a embedded ball relief. They know they're in the clear. Then he brings the rules official in. That's another person he can say, I got cleared by the rules official. So there's no onus on Reed at the end of the day because he's brought in all these parties to kind of help him create the story that he wants to tell. If Reed just picked up the ball, or if he called his playing partners and said, the ball's embedded, or I think the ball's embedded, I'm going to take a look. He picked it up, saw it was, put it down, and then took relief. I would believe him more because as soon as he starts bringing in the rules official, it's almost like, all right, what's he trying to prove here? Why is he trying to cover his tracks? And then you talk about his reputation. It just everything. It was pretty obvious what Reed was trying to do, and I just can't believe he keeps getting away with it. And he's going to keep doing it as long as he keeps getting away with it. There's no reason for him to change.
There are only two outcomes for Patrick Reed of what happened. That explains what happened based on the facts that we know. The one outcome is that his ball bounced and landed in someone else's divot, which I would find obviously not impossible, but very difficult to believe, considering it was the side of 10 green. How long would someone else's old divot even stay around like that? Like all those things. So that's option one, or option two is he manipulated his lie, pushed his ball down before he pulled it out.
That's what I think. There's too much of him playing around in the sandbox there to not think that he did something to that lie.
But those are the only two options because we know there was a lip on it. So we know that it was
what is a lip? It could have been just a clump of dirt that like he just maybe tweaked to make it look like a lip. Like you don't even know what they felt. You don't know what he was pointing at. I just can't believe that he didn't leave the ball where it was. It's baffling.
The rules official
came up and said, "Where's the ball?"
Yep.
It's just like, when is
he was baffled. He said, where is, he said, what am I looking at? And Patrick Reed goes, embedded ball. And he goes, where's your ball? Like, yeah, where is it, Patrick?
It's a really embedded lie when the ball has now disappeared.
Yeah,
that's how embedded.
I've moved it to where I actually would like to drop
and then
it.
Reed's like, just put your finger here. This is the only way you're going to be able to tell if it was embedded. Right. It's like, he's just such a, okay. At the same time, it's great for content, but like, he's so easy to hate.
Well, yeah. And that's the other thing. People are like, okay, I can simultaneously agree that golf having a villain is good for golf. It's good for the PGA Tour. It's good for ratings. It's good for content. It's good for all that stuff. But like, I stop short of like the this guy will do anything to win. He's a competitor. It's like, no, he's probably just a cheater, which is like not necessarily a great look either. Like, I like my competitors. I like my guys who are going to get fired up and do what it takes. But like, at some point there is a line, and I've heard a lot of black and white takes when this is there are some gray area aspects of this that with Patrick Reed.
The Monday Q info, a case of the Golf One, he tweeted like Patrick Reed had like, I don't know, it was either 4 or 6 months. He qualified into 4 or 6 PGA Tour events through Monday qualifiers. And imagine what Patrick Reed was trying to do in those days, trying to get on the tour with no cameras around, with barely any rules officials around. And now you see what he's doing now with the lead at a PGA Tour event with a camera on his ass. So it's like, you can imagine what he could get away with at 8 a.m. on a Monday when he's the first group out and his buddy and his playing partners are on the other side of the fairway and just no one's around. It makes you think.
Yeah. And this is not like, and you're right, reputation does precede you. This is obviously something that he has been dealing with for a long time. That's why I thought it was so brazen to drag Rory into this, a guy who has literally made his lie worse intentionally because he wasn't comfortable with the rule. And that was when Rory did it, was like, dude, he was so positive. He was like, my ball, he's like, then it must have been in its own plug mark because I'm positive I would not have taken relief unless it was in there. Like, there is a stark contrast. That's why I hated putting these two situations that are similar but not the same and saying these are exactly the same, and don't look at anybody's history and don't look at what they've done in the past. Just take our word for it.
Yeah, no, Rory's reputation if Rory says he picks up the ball and there's dirt on it and it broke the plane, I believe him. I don't care if we saw Rory's ball bounce, and part of me believes that maybe it did land back in his pitch mark because the camera didn't really prove that it didn't. And then when they come out and said it was stepped on, it makes a lot more sense. But regardless, I just believe Rory, and I don't think Rory would be out there trying to cheat his way to another top 10. I think that he would just, he's proven that he doesn't bend the rules in the past, and he wasn't going to do it in that scenario. It just, two completely different opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of what those guys are trying to accomplish.
So the big thing that I feel like is not getting talked about is Patrick Reed or Team Reed has a burner that they use to tear down other players, talk shit on the PGA Tour, whatever it might be. And this is something that obviously, Eric, you and I have tracked for quite some time. This Twitter account, Use Golf Facts, which I believe is widely accepted to be Patrick's wife, Justine, right? We're on the same page on that.
Yeah.
And I think because this thing has tweeted while he's been playing before, I think. So it's not actually Patrick Reed. It's not
Reed. I don't think anyone ever assumed it was Reed, but yeah, right. It's definitely someone who's keeping a keen eye on Reed. They complain about one of the better complaints. Obviously, we talked about the pin location, and
that's my favorite one. The pin locations one's my favorite one.
But the Use Golf Facts also believes the PGA Tour is delayed in updating Patrick Reed's shot tracker, and they don't pay his shot tracker enough attention. So it's one of a fantastic kind of, everyone Use Golf Facts thinks everyone's out to get Reed, which may or may not be true, but I don't think the shot tracker is purposely delaying just Patrick Reed's score. So you can tell who's sitting at home trying to track their family member.
Right. Right. Exactly. So what happens is, this Use Golf Facts starts going ham on Saturday night, dropping the same copy and paste tweet onto all of these, Golf Digest articles, golf articles, whatever. Rory McIlroy at McIlroy Rory did the same thing today on hole 18, picked up his ball, cleaned it, and everything, and didn't even call a rules official over to deem the ball embedded. End of story. So that tweet gets sent a couple times, and then all of a sudden,
absolute gold.
The Patrick Reed verified Twitter account tweets the same exact thing, calling out Rory McIlroy in response to an Amanda Balionis tweet. And because obviously we know the history of Use Golf Facts and the fact that Use Golf Facts tweeted it a couple times, then Patrick tweeted, then Use Golf Facts tweeted again. Clearly, this was not like Patrick Reed tweeted something and then Use Golf Facts just ran with and has no affiliation with. Like, this is so obviously an affiliated account, no matter what the Reed lawyer wants to say.
It's yeah. The Reed lawyer comes out and says we're not associated with it, which makes it seem like you're definitely more associated with it at that point. And the So yeah, it's clear a copy paste error. It's pretty easy if you have two. I know with it because two Instagram accounts, you just hold the icon and it pops up multiple Instagram. It's easy to flip between two. So copy paste, and bam, you're tweeting from the actual Reed account, which is kind of nuts. Like I just think that's you don't see that. Maybe Reed was fined for it, but that could be considered conduct unbecoming or whatever they want to use on the PGA Tour. I'm sure Xander Schauffele got fined for saying what he said in the post-round interview, which is, again, bananas that these guys would get fined for something like that, and Reed goes and wins the tournament when he's cheating. It's just the penalties and the fines and whatever it is, they just don't line up with the actions.
Well, the problem is they're not transparent, and we don't know. Like if it came out and said Patrick Reed was fined $50,000 for conduct unbecoming, and Xander Schauffele was fined $25,000 for his critical comments of Patrick Reed in the PGA Tour or whatever it is, at least we would know, and at least we would have a baseline. But the fact that it's all done, in the cloud of darkness without any transparency makes it even worse. And what I also think is continually even more crazy about this, that Patrick Reed tweet was never deleted.
I know, like, he's just rolling in it now. You just frame it, show it off. I can't believe it hasn't been deleted. Like it
just sits there.
They're just accepting the fact that this is the burner. Like they're not even. I don't know. It's bananas. Rory called it out and said, "I think it's someone. It's not Patrick, but it might be someone from the Reed family."
Because everybody knows. Because everybody knows what's actually happening.
At the same time, I'm a little sad that the cat's that far out of the bag. It was fun. Know. It was fun just like kind of tweeting, "Hey, Justine at Use Golf Facts." And then they would respond, like not even denying the fact that maybe Justine was actually like she responds to Justine or that account responds to Justine. So we had our fun with it. And now it's just like, nowadays it is a Reed family member, which
now it is now. So it has not tweeted since that night. Which
we got to go find the other. Now we got to go.
There's going to be a new burner. Because now the cat is out of the bag. So this thing got like 10,000 new followers it used to have like 3,000 when we were following it. And it was great. And we would poke fun at it. Now it's at nearly 14,000. And now if that's your burner, you can't really tweet from this anymore. Although I guess maybe the Reeds don't care. They might not care. And they might continue to tweet from it. But like there's
true. They've proven over time and time again that they really just don't care about what anyone thinks. So yeah, they'll probably just keep firing off from it.
But now we're going to have to go find the new burner, and we're just gonna have to search Patrick Reed and go through all the crazy tweets and find out whatever next Twitter account is just unbelievably pro Patrick Trump. That's a Freudian slip. That's what it feels like. Patrick Reed. I was gonna compare it to Kim Jong-un.
You're gonna get a cease and desist for dropping those two words together.
Oh man, at least I haven't been blocked yet. That's always my concern. So I want to make sure
I was blocked so long ago. I don't think I ever tweeted at Reed, but I think Ryan Baroff pointed out like I made some tweet about Reed was getting carried around on someone else's back at the Ryder Cup. Like that's all I said. Yeah. Like someone's tired from carrying chubby Reed around at the Ryder Cup, and I got blocked.
Yeah, I guess that'll do it. You did mention, the other guys on tour, Lonto Griffin was asked about it. He wasn't happy. Xander was asked about it. He wasn't happy.
I wish it was someone other than Lonto to say what he said. Like no one's going to take, no offense to him, but no one's really going to take what he says seriously. Xander's were a little harsher, but if someone else came out and said, yeah, this pisses us off, that would hold a lot more weight. But yeah, when it's Griffin, it's just like, is what it is.
It's so interesting. And I also wonder, like, okay, do you remember when Reed was, I don't remember what tournament it was, but Reed was taking a drop somewhere and Daniel Berger had walked like 140 yards.
It might have been the Masters.
Was it the Masters?
It was recent. It was like at the end of 2020. Yeah. But Reed came over and kept a keen eye on him.
Berger came over and kept a keen eye on him.
Sorry, Berger did, which is
like,
unbelievable.
And you look at the shot tracker, and like Patrick Reed was like in the trees on the right, and Berger was like in the trees on the left. So he walked like 140 yards to get there to keep an eye on him, which is amazing. And I do wonder, that final group, that was Burns and Carlos Ortiz. And I feel like if it was, I wonder if there was a Daniel Berger in that group, if there was a Rory McIlroy in that group, if there was somebody who was a bit more established, a bit more of an alpha dog, if Patrick Reed would have tried to get away with something like that,
or just like a veteran. Yeah,
yeah.
I honestly do think that had something to do with it, that he thought he could just kind of not bully, but no one's really gonna try to push back on Reed. So I do think that factored into the fact that he just kind of hollered at him, and he didn't think that either of those guys were going to come over and check it. So yeah, another calculated, I think, decision from P. Reed.
Calculated is a really good word, because I think that when he hits that shot and immediately they start going into nobody saw it bounce. Right now, the wheels are already spinning. Now it's what can I get away with? What can I do? What can I pose? Because nobody saw it bounce, and that is my cover for this whole thing.
I bet you those wheels start turning as soon as they're informed that it's preferred lies. I bet you he thinks as soon as it's preferred lies, and maybe he's not the only one who does this, but if he's under the assumption that the tour thinks it's soft enough to play preferred lies, that they probably can get away with it being soft enough in the rough, that there's going to be plugged balls. Like maybe it's probably happened before. We didn't see it on the final, in a final pairing on a weekend. But yeah, that's, if the PGA Tour didn't keep playing preferred lies, I don't even know if this happens. It just, that I was rattled about the continuous preferred lies when it barely rained. And then this happens. It's just almost like this is what's going to happen when you keep letting these guys get it, play with these, kind of make their own rules as they go.
Here's the worst part, Eric. Patrick Reed is really good at golf. He's really good. He's amazing. He has the short game of a god. He doesn't need to do this. He doesn't need to be known as cheating Patrick Reed. He can win golf tournaments. He can do people think oh, I'm not excited to come to my job and talk about a guy who is cheating on the sport that I really love and really care about, right? I don't get joy out of Patrick Reed doing this. I get joy out of the way he plays golf, but that never gets talked about because it's all the memes and the stories and the comments, and he continues to do it to himself, and it's all self-inflicted.
He would be like, him and Webb would be like the fascinating players in the top 10 in the world, because they just play a completely different game compared to the other elite players, if you will. Like Reed was hitting it all over the planet at Torrey, and he still won. He was all chipping and all putting. So he just does it differently. And that, I think that's interesting to watch, and compelling when he goes up against a bomber and he doesn't hit it as far, doesn't hit it as well. But here he is knocking in 30 footers for birdie. And then that's what makes him such a good match play player. He's just frustrating to play against, and at the same time he's fun to cheer for in those settings. But yeah, it takes away from how good he is when he does think that he needs to kind of skate by the rules. And I think Eddie Pepperell tweeted just how sad, he called it sad. He's like, it's so sad to see someone of his skill set, because obviously he's seen him up close and personal, just how good he is. And yeah, Pepperell just it's sad that this guy thinks that he has to do these things to be successful on the tour, when he could just embrace how creative he is around the greens, how good he is at putting. He could be one of a fan favorite, but he just doesn't give a shit about being a fan favorite.
No, he doesn't. But you're right. I mean, he could be 9-time winner, Ryder Cup hero, Captain America, Patrick Reed. But instead it's oh, Patrick's in the bunker again. Oh, Patrick's calling over a rules official again. And it's really different. When Bryson calls over a rules official and asks for a second and a third opinion, he's pushing the boundaries too of what he can get away with. Is there a fire ant right there? Is that a dangerous situation? Can I drop it back here? He's really trying to use the rules to his advantage to get an edge. Patrick Reed, of course, is going to do the same thing, but there is a point where it goes too far, and it goes into, I hate to say the word, I mean, literally cheating. It's so well documented. So it's a really fine line. Obviously these guys are going to use the knowledge that they have in the rules, and that's why they ask for second opinions, right? Because I'll go until I get an opinion that benefits me.
Yeah, the one that I want. And that's pretty much Reed did by asking the rules official. He was getting a second opinion on what you're supposed to be able to determine by integrity and honesty and just following the rules. He should have just known it was either embedded or not, but he needed a second opinion. And once he got that, he was clear to do whatever he wanted. So yeah, you're right. No, Bryson does he does similar things. He's not fluffing lies. He's trying to find a nearby fence post or climb fences and stuff like that. So he goes about it a different way. Like Reed would sprinkle down the fire ants and then say there was fire ants near his ball. Like that's the extent that Reed might take it. But yeah, they're both of them are kind of compelling and heels of the sport. So I hope they stop, but at the same time, part of me just kind of wants the shenanigans to continue until the tour steps in and does something.
Yeah, it's certainly good for us. It's good for content, but it does suck. It sucks at some point. Anything else, Patrick Reed?
I think I'm good. I know he's going to be on the Ryder Cup. What do you think about him on there? I got into a little discussion yesterday about is he good or bad for the Ryder Cup team?
I would start to argue he's becoming sour. So his game, I know he just won and he won in Mexico, but like his game is really volatile. Now I think it plays really well at Ryder Cups because I think he's good in like, alternate shot and short game, being first in the cup in any type of match play situation is so good. So I think he's even more valuable in Ryder Cup than he is like in any stroke play format. But when you start having Xander Schauffele, like, no, this is bullshit. And you start to have guys like he's going to create himself as a pariah in the USA locker room and not just because he doesn't get along with Jordan Spieth or whatever. So I think we're starting to get to the point where, and we've seen this from the European squad and we saw it from the international team, the President's Cup, like your team composition goes a long way and the locker room goes a long way. I would start to wonder if he can continue to be respected amongst his peers.
I don't think he'll continue to be respected. I think I would love for him to be like 9th or 10th on the list and force Stricker's hand into making him a captain selection. I think he's like one spot in right now. I just think that's when you'll know if he's well liked on the team or not. If they don't pick him and he's just on the edge, like that would be extremely telling. But if he plays his way on, you'll just never know how he is amongst the group because Stricker he'll ask JT who he wants on. He'll ask the top guys who they want on the team. And that's the situation now I'm hoping for. I hope it needs a captain's pick.
So especially now where, so six automatic and 6 captains picks. So could you imagine if Patrick Reed is 7th in the standings and Stricker's like, nope, like I'm just going to take guys.
Use golf facts and fire up the count again. No problem.
Yes, because that would be like, wow, you were on the verge of just making it automatically and you were not even a captain's pick. Like that would show you exactly how everybody feels about it.
I think like the US team is so good that you could leave Reed off and you take the next best guy. And if it makes one playing partner, if more comfortable in a team setting and they win an extra point, like I think they can win without Reeds, but I think they have a better chance of maybe losing with him, if that makes any sense. Like he just creates more drama and turmoil. Like,
yeah,
I mean, Paris, he torched the entire room out on the way out on that flight home when he was crying about not playing with Spieth. And then President's Cup, I think you would have, that was way closer than anyone expected. And to say Reed wasn't a distraction that weekend, you'd be nuts to say he wasn't. So back-to-back team events, Reed is doing something to cause distractions or whatever. And the results haven't been there. So like, what's the point at this point to keep tagging him along?
So let me read you what the team would look like if we left Patrick Reed off of this team.
Oh, this team is going to lose for sure.
This could be a USA team. Dustin Johnson, Bryson DeChambeau, Justin Thomas, Xander Schauffele, Colin Morikawa, Brooks Koepka, Webb Simpson, Tony Finau, Harris English, Patrick Cantlay, Daniel Berger, and Matthew Wolff.
Yeah, that team has no chance. You need to get Reed in there. You need Reed on that team. So this is what I mean. Like, it just people clamoring for Reed to, like, he needs to be on the team. We need him. He's Captain America. We need that singles point on Sunday. Like, no, you don't. You don't. Look at that team, and you could have way better of a time without Reed in the locker room.
Yeah, hard to argue. I guess we're gonna find out. I really hope he's 7th. I really hope he's 7th.
I think he's 6th right now.
Well, he is 6th right now, but I'm hoping like at the time that this is over, that he's 7th.
He probably knows he probably needs to get the top 6 too. So that's another thing. Well, so used golf facts they were when they changed the selection to six picks, six guaranteed spots. They were not impressed with that. They wanted the 8 guaranteed spots, and you can probably guess why.
I certainly can guess why. Quick side note here: Ches Reavie just made another birdie, so he's 3 under. So you know that there was that Ches Reavie $300 ticket or $700 ticket at 300 to 1 before the event.
I saw this. What?
I'm wondering if someone knows something. Does Ches know something about his game? He's now 3 under through 7. Just made another birdie.
Ches in Arizona is a thing, but I don't know. Maybe someone with a lot of money is just very confident on him. But yeah, I not something I'd be putting down, but I could see it. It makes some sense.
I do love the idea. Like if you're gonna bet somebody who's 300 to 1, don't do $10. You might as well just do 700. Like you might as well make like if you're gonna hit a 300 to 1 shot, you might as well make life-changing money along the way.
I guess so, but you better be able to swallow losing it too at the same. Yeah, that's probably a lifestyle I'll never be able to live.
Yeah, because you'll hit a 300 to 1 shot like once in your life, so you might as well. You might as well.
Imagine chasing that for that long though. You'd be homeless.
Yeah, you would. All right, what else, Pat? I mean, I hate that we spent a lot of time talking about.
We could talk about touch on, but maybe we don't need to. But like that distance thing came out yesterday, and people were fired up about it. And I know you don't care, but you might be sponsored by Titleist at this point. You, Webb, and JT.
No, but Titleist, my DMs are open. Happy to say whatever you guys want me to say in return for some gear, some swag, little cashola. Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't really care because I am I'm a big believer that like the game should be evolving. You should be getting progress. There's a lot of things in sport that I don't think you should be rolling back. And I'm trying to think of any other example in any other sport, that restrictions have been put on because players are getting too good. I know in college baseball, they changed the aluminum bats back when I was in college because that actually kind of came as like a safety issue. The ball was coming off the bat so fast, it was hitting pitchers in the head. It was like killing guys. So that's one thing, but I can't really think of another sport that has made kind of like equipment restrictions because the players are getting too good.
I'm almost certain, and I should have looked this up before I jumped on. And I think I might have brought it up before, but I'm very certain that tennis slowed down their tennis balls because it just became too power smash, like serve volley games. Like there was just no skill. Like I guess it's skill, but there's no strategy involved. There was no rallying anymore. It just became who could serve it the best and who could run to the net and volley one home. So it's just like that's boring tennis. Like there's no rallying, there's no angles, there's no running around. Like that's the kind of the crux of tennis. So I do believe they slowed down their balls recently. So, and you think about tennis, like the size of their rackets
makes sense too. And that makes sense too. But like the tennis court never changes. The golf course changes all the time. Why are we not just getting more unique courses that where distance is not necessarily as big of an advantage?
I mean, we see some of those. We have the heritages. We have there's a few short courses out there, but they still get destroyed by PGA Tour pros. I mean, I just think the argument for those courses, it's you see it at Augusta. You can't just keep moving tee blocks back and back and back. You run out of land. You run out of grass. You run like just the cost to keep these. And I'm not like I don't know anything really about what it costs to run a course, but to add 500 yards to your course, that's just so much more land that you have to water, to grow, to maintain, to fertilize. You start renovating bunkers, relocating bunkers. It's very, very expensive. And really a lot of the problems will be solved if just someone can't carry a 330 anymore.
I also think that Rory had his point was like, yeah, like go ahead and change the rules. Manufacturers are going to figure it out. Like, and I kind of agree with that too. Right. Okay. So if the spring can't be, or if the face can't be this springy, we'll move the, MOI back. We'll move it. Like they'll figure it out. Like there's just going to be, and then are we going to constantly have to roll things back? We're constantly going to have to be battling, fighting this battle with equipment manufacturers essentially on what they can push and what they can't push. Like, I don't know. It just feels like a fool's errand a bit.
Yeah. Again, I wish I knew way more about like the actual components of a golf club that go into it, but I do think the head, if they maybe I'm completely off base, but if they shrink the head size, I think that solves a lot of it makes it harder to hit it as far as they do. They're not saying they won't be able to, but you definitely have to be a lot more skilled to hit it 350 yards with a smaller head. I just think that's an easy solution. Maybe it's completely misguided, but I think that's something I would like to see, because I don't like Bryson, and I use Bryson as an example because he swings it so hard. But he references often like, oh, I just missed that one on the toe. Like when he says I hit it on the toe, he probably did hit it right on the toe, and it still goes 300 yards, 320, which is bananas. Like, if you're going to swing it that hard and you want to go chase 350, 340, you better put it right on the screws. And if you don't, then you're going to pay for your mishit. That's all I want to see. If you get hit at 350 with a smaller club head, like, man, that takes some serious skill. And I think Rory someone who would benefit from that. And someone like Adam Scott, those guys don't miss. But there are guys on tour who swing it hard, who probably miss it a lot more than we think. But the drivers are so forgiving and so big that it's never really going to show as a mishit. I just want them to, when someone mishits the ball, I want to see a mishit. Like, I want to see like a 260-yard snap hook. We just don't see those anymore.
Why don't we just give everybody Ricky's new irons? Have you seen those?
Yeah, they're like those.
Oh my God.
I don't know if they're working for them.
I don't know if they'd work for anybody. They look impossible to hit. Just give everybody those. No, like you have to hit the dead center of that club face. That thing is unbelievable.
I mean, so most guys use those tiny thin blade, like butter knife looking blades, and like to square up like a 3-iron or 4-iron with those, that takes a lot of precision and a lot of skill, and that's why I'm impressed when I see someone hit those. But I'm just not as impressed anymore to see someone completely lash at a driver that is super forgiving, and it's just gonna. Their spray chart is just not as wide as it should be when they're swinging it that hard. And that is obviously technology, shaft design, and all that goes into it. And, with TrackMan, I think that's been huge for these guys to optimize distance. So they're still going to hit it extremely far. I just want to see them, it's not going to be a rollback. Just make it harder to hit it that far. That's all I'm asking. And maybe that's impossible. Maybe they need like tiny little like 100cc drivers, and you just got to literally put it right on the button, and if you don't, you shank it. That would be drastic, but I just make it harder for these guys to hit it as far as they do. That's all I want to see.
I think that's fair, and this is obviously a conversation that is ongoing. It is evolving, and nothing happens quickly in the world of golf, so it's something we're probably going to talk about a handful more times. Eric Patterson, as always, much appreciated. You can find Eric's work at The Score. You can find him on Twitter at @EPatGolf. You can read his Quick 9, which will be linked below. That's fun. I'm glad you're. I know when you start new things, it's hard to like keep it going at first and get into the routine. And I hope you're not running out of ideas. But like it's really enjoyable.
I appreciate that. No, it's the news helps. I've had to tweak the scheduling because I found putting one out Monday morning and then Wednesday morning, that Wednesday one, some of the things I was stretching a little bit because just not a lot happens during Monday, Tuesday. So I've scooped in the Wednesday news cycle into my the Thursday newsletter. So yeah, it's fun. It's something different, and just, I don't know, keeps me in the loop as well, and almost like a refresher of what's happened.
Love it. That'll do it for 300 yards to unknown. Catch you next time.